welcome back to a brand spanking new episode of Pretend Talk Show. I am so happy to be here. It's so good to be with you all. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching the replay, today we are learning how to make Mezcalritas with the one and only cocktail coach named Brian McArdle. If you're joining us live, please blow up that chat. We are an interactive show and you can comment, you can ask questions, you can say, hey, you can tell us how fabulous we look. We want this to be an interactive process. So even if you're watching the replay, I check these comments all the time. So definitely don't be shy about writing in, asking your questions, telling us what you think. Okay, so we are back after 2 weeks of quiet and silence. The country has been in a really, really sad place, and it was important to us that we take a moment to pause and be quiet and listen and learn. And though we've only been really, really deeply investigating these things for about 2 weeks, I want you to know that it doesn't stop there. It's not a 2-week thing and then we're done. The show goes on, but the learning and the activism does not stop. So we're back here today, and I don't know about you guys, but I could sure use a drink. So that makes me very happy to introduce today's guest, the fun, the fabulous, the cute as a button, the cocktail coach, Mr. Brian McArdle. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Not just because it means I get to drink at 11 a.m., but that's
right. No, such a bonus.
Where are you in the world right now?
So I am up in the very hot valley where we've been reaching 101 for the past couple of days in a row. And luckily you have an inflatable pool in the backyard to get you through things like this. So
nice. I want an inflatable pool. I don't have anywhere to put it, but
yeah,
could fill up a bathtub and like splash around, you know?
Just getting in water makes you feel better when it's just that hot. So
right? Yeah. So, okay, for people that don't know about the cocktail coach, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how it is that you came to create the cocktail coach.
Sure. So I've been in Los Angeles for about 15, 16 years, something like that. And like everybody else who's been out here for entertainment work, found some gaps in between gigs. Started bartended because I enjoyed talking cocktails. I enjoyed making them, kind of like a chef who loves to cook because they love to eat. I'm a bartender who loves to mix because I love to drink. And it's great to explore all the different flavors. So I bartended for about 10 years in the city here and had been doing hosting stuff. And my significant other at the time was just like, I think you have a really great thing right here. You're a bartender, but you're also a really great host. Why don't you combine the two things, bring them onto Instagram and share some of your knowledge with the people at large? And so I said, that sounds like a smart idea. And that was about 2 years ago. And it's been a great journey since.
2 years and about 25,000 followers later. You're killing it.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing.
Yeah, no,
I love
thank you. It's the best part of it all is that I get sent free booze. So,
that's how I am with my food stuff. It's a total win. And I think that cocktails can be like true cocktails, not a glass of wine or, a simple cocktail. They can be pretty intimidating because, it's like they have these names that people don't know. And like bartending, you do have to train, right? You have to go through is there like a bartender certification?
You don't necessarily have to. Some states require that you have a bartender's license, especially if you're going to be the only person serving at like a party where your company is the only one licensed to serve. But there is no qualifications other than like having a pulse. So legitimately anyone can pick up a shaker and pretend to, make you a lemon drop or something. There is no requirements to, other than being, I think, 21. But I think that's it.
Well, very good. And well, in LA, especially, you mentioned sort of the actor life and how a lot of people have downtime in between. But I think actually I was a very terrible, I can't even call it bartender. Like I can't even say bartender. I still know how to make a grand total of like 3 drinks. And it's the drinks I like to drink: old fashioned, dirty martini, and a shot, like a straight shot.
All you kind of need, really. So.
I can make a margarita decent, but
there you go.
The tips are lucrative, right? Like in bartending?
They certainly can be because, when you're sitting at a bar, you're facing the bartender as if that is your entertainment, as if that's kind of the interaction you're there for. When you're at a table and you're facing your other guests, like that's what you're there for. But when people come into the bar, in my opinion, you're there to impart some, you're there for their evening. You're there to make it better in whatever way you can. So I always loved that interaction with it, and having regulars and seeing them walk in and having their drink just kind of be ready just as they sit down. It's a wonderful thing to be able to give people, when they go out and they spend their hard-earned money, a really great experience. It really makes me feel good. So
yeah, and part of that is definitely therapy too. Like you said entertainment, but I think like subcategory of entertainment is therapist. Why is it that, well, I guess it's liquid courage, right? Everybody just kind of opens up.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, yeah, it relaxes your nerves. It makes you kind of like lose that edge, and you can either talk about the thing that got you on that edge, or, you know, anything really. So
yeah, or talk your way off that edge.
You know? Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. Oh man.
Well, today, tell us what we're going to make with you today. I'm excited to get a little cocktail going so we can continue this chat with a drink in hand. Yeah.
I'm all about classic, easy, simple, but delicious drinks. So today we're going to be making basically a margarita, a skinny margarita, but with mezcal. Now, these two ingredients that we're going to be using as the base ingredients outside of the mezcal are simple syrup, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 part sugar, 1 part water.
Sorry, I have a question about that simple syrup. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
I tried to make my own simple syrup, right? Because I'm not a bartender. I don't have that handy. All I had was coconut sugar. And so it made this black simple syrup. Is that going to be a no-go?
It's gonna add, so I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I wanted to talk about, is you want to use white granulated sugar for a drink like this. There are lots of different sugars out there, and they add so much dynamicism to a drink. If, like you said, you have coconut sugar, which I wasn't aware of, that's fantastic, but that's gonna probably be really amazing in like a rum drink or something like that. So you can see the way that the different kind of sugars that you're going to be using for a simple syrup actually play into the drink that you're making. I tried to use cane sugar in this once. It was one of the worst Mezcalritas I've ever made. And so it really kind of, it's not about the graininess so much as there's just like, this is white granulated sugar, so it doesn't have that molasses. It doesn't have that caramelness that some other ones have. Like yours is going to be very rich.
Caramelly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be an amazing profile for other cocktails.
It's gonna be amazing for something else.
For something else, but maybe not. I mean, hey, give it a try on this, and the smokiness and the carameliness may just balance each other out.
We'll try. Yeah. We'll give it a try. If it's terrible, I will be honest with everybody.
Okay, and then we have lime juice. So lime juice, fresh squeezed, please.
Do you think this is going to be enough?
That's going to be perfect. It's just an ounce we need, so you'll be fine. So lime juice and simple sugar, simple syrup make up the backbone of a bunch of drinks that you love. So a gin gimlet, a vodka gimlet. If you put rum in there, it's a daiquiri. If you put tequila in there, it's a margarita. So you can see with just lime and simple syrup, you can get this variety of drinks. So I love using just these two things. And when you find the perfect balance with the spirit, it's just a gorgeous, simple, but perfect drink. So
this is like poetry to me. You are actually speaking my love language right now. You just listed off like all the love. Okay, so I've got this. Mezcal might not be something that everybody has on their shelf. I happen to have a boyfriend who is a spirit monger, and he has every spirit. I think I've even texted you pictures of our cabinet and been like, what the hell do I make with this? And you've been so great to help me come up with cocktails.
It's been a lot of fun though.
Yeah, so we have this mezcal. Oh, you know this?
I know El Silencio, yes. Very good.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's what I'm using. What are you using?
Excellent brand. So I picked this up yesterday. This is Bonhez. Actually, you can't really, there we go, Bonhez. It's like most, like 90% of all mezcals, it's from Oaxaca. I work with a company whose mezcal is out of Zacatecas. Durango and Herradura are also great states that give some really nice, some mezcal, some artisanal mezcal. So But man, I've been talking too much. Let's make a drink.
Let's do it. But and can we also just explain quickly what the difference between mezcal and tequila? Maybe while we're
Sure.
going.
So under whiskeys, there's lots of whiskeys, and this is an analogy. Scotch is a whiskey, bourbon is a whiskey, Irish whiskey is a whiskey. So they're all different types of one thing. So mezcal is the umbrella upon which Sotol, tequila, and mezcal all fall under. So it's all mezcal, meaning they're all agave-based spirits. So if they're being made with agave, if they're being made with agave, Bacadora is also one of those. Bacanora is another that's under the mezcal umbrella. So if it's being made with agave plants, then it's mezcal. If it's being made with 100% blue agave, then it's tequila. That's the only thing that tequila can be made from is 100% blue agave.
So much to learn. Okay, let's make it. Let's do it. I've got my shaker here. What do we do first?
Do you have a jigger?
I do have a jigger, which I only recently learned is an actual term and not just a thing that I'm trying to identify stuff with.
Exactly. Or a line from Jay-Z's rap, Jigga what? So let's start with the simple syrup. You start with the sticky thing first so that everything else kind of rinses what you're using as a utensil. So
should I have ice in my shaker already or no?
Yes, please.
Okay. Ice in the shaker.
Ice in the shaker.
Got it. And for those of you who are sensitive to sound, it might get a little loud. Okay.
It's going to be.
Sticky stuff first. I'm using my caramely weird.
It's going to be a completely different color. It's going to be great. I can't wait. So let's go with 3/4 of an ounce of this.
Okay.
If you like it a little bit sweeter.
All right. So listen, I have this double-sided jigger here. Is this the big side 2 ounces and the small side 1? Is that? It
should be.
Okay.
That's how it normally would be.
Not quite a full 1.
Yeah.
Of the going in. Got it.
I would go closer to half almost with yours. But if you're at 3/4, that's where we are. That's fine.
We're at 3/4.
Okay. So right into the tin, straight into the tin there.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we're going to get our lime juice.
Lime juice. Got it.
Going to go with a full ounce of that right up to the top.
Full ounce of that. Now, I love this because I like it pretty tart. You know what I'm going to do?
Yes. And then if you want to add a splash at the end, that's fine.
Got it. Okay.
And then 2 of the good stuff.
2 of the good stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that mezcal meant that it was like smoked underground. So smoky. I love it.
That is the way that mezcal is made. So they take the agave plant, they chop off all the leaves, and what you have left is what's called the piña, which looks like a pineapple. And so what they do is that they smoke that underground, or they steam it, and that's how the smokiness is created. There's 3 different categories of mezcal, but I'm not as proficient on those. One's artisanal, one's like industrial, and the other's like old school. So
I trust you. I believe it all.
Shake and strain. Here we go.
Shake and strain. Okay, everybody, watch your ears. Shake it like a salt shaker. This is not how I shake my salt.
All right.
Okay, got a cool little frost on the outside of my jiggy.
As you should.
Okay, we're straining into our glass here. Oh my God, look at that weird color.
You see, but that's all the simple syrup, because you can see mine is this kind of like pale green, almost white. Yeah.
You know what though? I think it's going to be pretty tasty.
There you go.
I'm going to drop 2 ice cubes in my glass and garnish. All I have is this little lime. Is that cool?
Perfect. Oh, that looks great. Slancha.
This looks interesting as heck. Slancha.
That does.
Salud, as they say in España. You know what? Even though it's got a weird color for a mezcalrita, it's really good.
I'm interested to know actually how those darker simple syrups would play into a drink like this, because the reason I love using mezcal is because, like you mentioned, the smokiness, and that smokiness just adds another layer of dimensionality. I'm going to use that word again, to your drink. I mean, if it was just tequila, it would taste fine, but now you get a smokiness to it. That's balancing out the tart, the sweet, and there's some smoky in there too. I just love mixing with Mezcal. I'm trying to bring as many people onto the Mezcal train as possible. So.
I'm actually with you. And then to be honest with you, the reason that I even hopped aboard the Mezcal train is because we didn't have tequila in the house and I was wanting to make a margarita. So I was like, I guess I'll just try Mezcal. And then I was reminded of all the $18 fancy margaritas that I've ordered in cool restaurants. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is that smoky flavor. I love it. If you guys are joining us live and you're making cocktails, post your pictures in the comments. I want to see them. Cheers. It tastes as good as yours looks. Now, why do you serve yours in a martini glass?
I'm glad you asked that. Basically for when I'm doing something like, if I were to serve a margarita, when my margarita, unless I'm drinking it really fast, it's going to get kind of watered down for me towards the end. And I love to just have the full experience of whatever the spirit is. I don't usually drink cocktails. Being the cocktail coach, that's kind of my big hush-hush secret, is that I don't drink a ton of cocktails because I think spirits are so amazing by themselves.
Just as they are. Yeah.
Yeah, as they are. And this is the other thing, and this is my snobbery, which is, like we talked about, you don't necessarily have to have a bartending license. I don't know who's making my $18 margarita back there, So if I order a $12 glass of Mezcal, I know I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. Right, exactly. But if I order an $18 cocktail, sometimes it's just a little bit lost.
They could bastardize it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just working with my Mezcal company, and we're making some pre-batched drinks that you're going to be able to just pull off the shelf. Some really, really tasty ones, like a black cherry ginger. That's amazing.
Black cherry ginger, awesome.
Black cherry ginger Mezcal. Oh, it's so good. So we were working, we took an entire Sunday, we took like 4 hours, and on each recipe, we just a little bit more water. Oh, and that just made everything kind of go away. Oh, a little bit more of this, that just made everything harmonize. So it was really interesting to sit down and see the way that the ingredients can either make a drink have disparate elements where you're like, I can taste the lime here, the sugar here, the Mezcal there, or when it's harmonious and everything's kind of just working in concert. So.
Wow. And is there a way to, in the way that sommeliers sort of train their palate, is there something that you recommend for how to get your tongue to taste the different parts of the spirit? Or how do we talk about it as sophisticated as you are?
It's just about being intentional with the way that you consume whatever it is. With food, I've seen you eat, I've eaten with you, we've shared some wonderful meals together. You don't just go through your food and just, shove it into your mouth. You cut it, you take a bite, you get some olfactory, input there. You take it with a sip of wine, you take a drink of water. You're very deliberate about the way that you approach your meal. And
at least when I'm not hungry.
Right. Or the third bite, I can slow it down a little bit. But yeah, it's about intentionality, in my opinion. And so if you can sit with someone who knows just a little bit more than you and speak with them about it, it's just like in a sport, you want to play against someone who's better than you to better your skills. So if there's a way that, and that means interacting with people like the bartender. If you're lucky enough to talk to a chef or a line cook about how your dish was created, that's the secret. It's about how you take these good. Number one, you want to start with good ingredients, and every great dish starts with good ingredients. But then, how do you translate that into what we're going to be consuming? And that's the part I love.
Intentionality. I love that. And it is, I'll be honest, I don't always think when I'm drinking a cocktail, even though it's really part of the experience, like an old fashioned, you're not supposed to drink with a straw. You're supposed to drink from the top to let the smells and everything hit your nose because it affects the way you taste it. I don't really find myself truly taking the time to acknowledge all the flavors and the smells and the way it hits your senses as much as I should. So thank you for that reminder. I'm gonna be more intentional. That's
my pleasure. And especially since we're moving into cocktails that are spring and summer centric, so you have some stuff that's going to be minty, got some berry stuff. You're going to have lots of, some fizzy things. Aperol spritzes are going to be coming back into style.
Love the Aperol spritz.
Yeah. And there's ways where, like with this drink, you could garnish this with a strawberry. You could garnish this with mint. That would add another flavor to it. You could, go lime, roasted pineapple, bring out the blowtorch, have some fun.
I know you were like, yeah, feel free to, you sent me the ingredient list ahead of time and you're like, just something simple. If you want to throw in some fire torched pineapple, I was like, oh, okay. So I'll just grab out my I don't have a blowtorch. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, cause come on, I'm a DIY guy. I've got that, just sitting out in the garage ready to go. But I mean,
I want a blowtorch though for creme brulee and all kinds of other things. Now, more reasons.
You do need a burnishing torch. Absolutely. But yeah, it's, drinks are, and this is the other thing about cocktails that I need to say real quickly. I made the recipe, the way that it's traditionally done: 2 ounces of spirit, 1 ounce of lime, 3/4 of an ounce of simple. If it's too tart for you or too sweet, cocktails are all about the way that you enjoy your drink. Yes, there is a traditional recipe, but if that doesn't work for you, don't try and muscle through your drink. Say, hey, I could use a little bit more sweet, a little bit more tart. You're spending good money for someone to craft you something. And if your steak was undercooked, I would hope that you would say, yeah. So, same thing with drinks. Now, we don't love, hearing from somebody that the drink isn't perfect. But if you were to say, hey, I like my drinks a little bit more sweet. I know you made this perfectly. Could you add a splash? We'd be more than happy to. And with that compliment, my God.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, is slide a compliment in with the request. Hey, you're doing a great job. Can we just tweak this one little thing? I love that.
Right, exactly.
It's a tough time too for bartenders. I mean, coming out of COVID and getting back to, I don't know how things are going to be. I personally haven't gone out yet to a restaurant. I'm not quite ready to myself. But what do you think? How do you think we should behave, or how do you think it's going to be back in a bar?
So I actually was out last Friday. I have a local where I am. I love them deeply, and I know some of the waitresses and some of the wait staff there, and I know how tough it's been for them during this. Yeah. So when I heard that they were open, I was able to stop in, get a table that was up against a wall, kind of far away from people. I was happy to see the restaurant packed in what is the new normal, which is every other table, which is full of people, every other bar stool full of people. So quick shout out to Springbok in Van Nuys.
Springbok.
It's a South African pub. Lovely.
Fun.
But it was great, and they have great food. So I was able to go there, stop in for a dinner, have a cocktail, and put some money into that economy, because I want them to be around. I want those people to stay with me. So I did pop out and do that. I did that just because I knew it was open. I've had the opportunity, but haven't gone out more. I hope people support bars and restaurants, but I hope they're just doing it in a thoughtful way.
Right. Like, I think the obvious applies, right? Like, you have to make sure if you're sick at all, you shouldn't be going out anywhere, period. Just stay home. And, I think that there's checking your temperature and things like that. The other side of this is, while I'm personally not ready, just for many reasons, but I'm not. But if people are going out, I think that it's really important now more than ever to remember, if you're going out to a restaurant, you have to be able to afford to tip. If you can't afford to tip, you shouldn't be in the restaurant. This is not like, these are people's livelihoods, and it's not fair, frankly, especially to take up the time and resources of a bar that does have limited capacity. If you're going to be there, not tipping and not being a great customer, because it's like, it's okay, just stay home until you're ready. It is a luxury, and it should be really regarded as such. Like, when you go out to a bar, remember, this is a luxury and this is a treat. And if you can't budget that right now, that's okay. Just don't do it. That's my take. I'm opinionated. What do you think?
It's a good take, and that's why I think a lot of restaurants are doing the option for takeout. As someone who's worked in the service industry for a long time, like, if you don't tip me on takeout, no skin off my back. I didn't really do a ton of work. That's going to be a tip for me as a server that I can't really translate to back of the house. anyways when they're doing the work. So if tipping isn't your thing, if you don't feel like you're a big tipper, or you don't feel like they're necessarily worth what you spend at the end, just do some takeout. You get the same great food, and you don't have to deal with that whole thing. So
that's a nice alternative. I personally tip when I take out, because I worked at a Chinese restaurant for 5 years, all throughout college. And when I first started out as the hostess, it was my job to pack the to-go orders and to take the to-go orders. And so that's how I made tips. So I'm probably the over generous type. So industry types always are, right? Like if you've ever worked in the industry, you're always a good tipper. So anyway, I just think, especially now that servers are seriously, like, that's a new, not to undercut our incredible medical professionals, but it is kind of a new front line, in the same way that the grocery store workers are seeing the largest amount of the population. If you're going to a restaurant, those people are seeing more people than you are in a day. So they're at risk, which means extra tip. Tip your servers, people.
Yeah, seriously, please tip your servers. Yes. No, and that's a beautiful sentiment, because yes, obviously the medical professionals are the front line, but yes, we have that second front line in our communities of the people who are working in grocery stores, getting our supply chains running, keeping things, supplied, getting toilet paper to those shelves. And yeah, like you're saying, the restaurant workers. So I think it's interesting to see the wide variety of, some of the highest paid people and some of the lowest paid people are front line. So
Right. Well, I know that for me, cocktails, drinks, wine have been my essential service. There's no way I was getting through this quarantine without. I did 1 week of no drinking, and it was fine. I was on a diet, and I was like, I'm going to cut out alcohol. And then I realized, one thing at a time, sister. This just isn't the battle I want to fight this week.
No.
So
no.
My therapist is closed, so this is how I'm dealing.
Absolutely. No, it's a great way to kind of just relax, and hey, this is the time. Try some new things. Sometimes you're forced to try things, like you were saying earlier, like you were just taking random bottles out and trying things. It's like, hey, this is the time to do it. So.
Oh, it's been so fun. I've been loving, like, same thing with my pantry. We like to do these challenges where we're like, we're not going to buy anything new. What can we make with what we have? And it's just been these random, like, we had, bottles of soju. We had sake, like these random spirits. We had amari, just all these random things to see what we can make drinks with. And then my pantry, don't even get me started. I'm like, I don't know what this is. At Master Chef, Top Chef, where you find the ingredients, put them all together and whip up something.
Yeah, no, that one.
Yeah, that one. I'm going on that show, and I'm going to win it because I'm super good at it.
And I feel like everybody's been playing that game, which is just like, you have breadcrumbs and tilapia and radishes. Go.
Fish tacos.
Yeah, exactly. Ah, perfect. Nailed it. Yeah. See, there it is.
I'm telling you, I'm really good at this game.
You were. That was very, very immediate. Speaking
of fish tacos, okay, we've got to talk about some of our history together and how we met, because this is so great. Like, I just didn't even know this world existed. But so you and I first met at an audition to be a cruise ship, like a traveling cruise ship, sort of TED style speaker. It was the coolest thing. Reading the job description, I'm like, oh my God, this job gets to travel around the world, gets to speak on, we both love speaking and presenting, gets to present all about travel content all over the world. So we met at this audition. It was a 3-day long, like, intense audition. And you and I were both offered the gig, which we'll get into what happened eventually. But we ended up going on a cruise together, like a test trial cruise with our good friend Kimberly Wells, who is maybe watching. Hey, Kimberly, if you are.
Yeah, what's up?
Tell me about what your thoughts on that position were. If it had come through. It didn't end up working out, guys, because, as you know, COVID hit just before we were going on. I mean, literally, it was really hitting. March 10th is when we went on this trip, and that was when it really exploded. What would you have done if COVID hadn't have happened?
My life would be very different. I'd probably be in Alaska right now. So that was the cruise. That was the cruise that I was going to be doing, was Alaska, from Seattle going up to Anchorage, a little bit of time in Vancouver. that would have been amazing. It would have been so much fun. I mean, I came at this when I was in college at Syracuse. I was in television, radio, and film, and then they encouraged you to have a dual major. So I picked a geography. I always loved places and people and going. And so I've been dreaming about, hosting and traveling. I mean, I've been lucky enough to shoot some things on location. But this would be full on. This would be living the dream. So I was so psyched to hear about the position, to be able to audition, to be offered the role, and then for them to be like, well, come on a cruise. You just we want to make sure you like it. We're like, oh, okay, that's fine. So we left out of San Diego and went down to Puerto Vallarta, and it was an eye-opening experience. I'd never been on a ship before, and it was amazing. So I said, after we got back on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, Rudy Gobert in the NBA tested positive, and that's when the NBA shut down. That Friday, I sent in my acceptance letter to their offer, and next week I got we appreciate your excitement. However, the position no longer exists. So.
Yeah. So, but thank God we got to go on the adventure that we did. It was so much to learn. I mean, I had never actually I'd been on obviously sailing and boats and stuff before, but this was a ship. Right. This was a cruise ship. Just the sheer size. I was like marveling at the size of this moving city. It was just crazy overwhelming, but what a neat experience. And I sort of had a different take on it. For my dream, much like yours, is to travel and make amazing content and connect with audiences through video, talking about food and drinks and whatever cultures. We both share that love of food and drink and travel. But I don't know. I think that ship life is really, really challenging. I think that's what people don't recognize, and maybe to give a little, credence to the folks that do work on ships full time. It's not just a vacation the whole time. I mean, there's certain challenges. You're living in a sort of a small space, and you're on that ship a lot.
Yes.
So
yes. You mentioned the moving city, and having never been on a ship before, it'd be one thing just to see what the ship has to offer, but we've got behind the scenes on everything. Yeah. And we were able to walk through where they receive their hundreds of and thousands of pounds of food, and where their garbage goes, and how they store their water. And it was like, wow, it was so revealing. And we got to go up on the bridge. How cool was that?
That was so cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
I was like, this is very cool. I'm not even like a super geek for techie stuff, but I was like, look at all these gadgets and this sonar and the buttons, right. And how do you steer this thing? You would think that there's like a big wheel up there. There actually is a wheel.
Right.
It's cool. It's just really cool.
And they,
they have their whole little culture. It's really, it was eye-opening. I hope that for you that maybe, I know that it's a weird time for the cruise industry. I'm seeing a lot of reports, though, that actually there's a lot of bookings. So you never know. If this is the dream job and the thing that's meant for you, you never know. Like it could come back. You're so good. You're such a great presenter. I mean, they'll definitely be lucky to have you.
It's being invested in what you're talking about. And, while we were talking about a cruise line, there was a lot of ups and downs for you to navigate in it. It's just stuff that we like doing. Some people hate public speaking. We're like, ooh, so. Yeah, I
love it. And it's so funny because totally. Yeah. There used to be a time like not that long ago that the thought of public speaking would actually make me want to cry. Yeah. But a while ago, but now I'm like, okay. So attention, Would a Toyota with license plate 6YZ? I'm that girl. So what's next for you? And Cocktail Coach
So the Cocktail Coach is still going strong. We're still doing our thing, and hopefully we'll be pumping out content every week. I've got a couple of nice collabs that I'm going to be highlighting soon, but I'm actually starting a new gig on something that's kind of a new platform. So I'm going to be starting in about a week, we're going to be starting Live Play Bingo.
Oh my God, cool.
It's an app you download, And from 2 to 8 Pacific time, we're going to have live hosts calling out bingo, interacting with you. There's a chat function. You can give us gifts and stuff. We'll be having a jukebox function at one point where you can use some of your coins from the game to play songs that you want. It's going to be a great time. It's a whole new platform for apps and for gaming and for live hosting. So I am super excited to start that collaboration. And like I said, I think we go live in about a week, and it's called Live Play Bingo. So.
Oh, Live Play Bingo. Okay, I'm going to put up on screen here just your handle again, so that everybody, if you're looking and you want to find Brian online, you can find him on Instagram, the ticker below at the Cocktail Coach. And I'm sure you'll let us know, with links and everything to where we can watch you host bingo. That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
How about acting stuff? Have you got any other, besides hosting a super fun bingo? You do some directing too, no?
I mean, I do a lot of production work just in general. That's kind of what I went to school for, and somehow got in front of the camera. I must have wandered, I guess.
Somehow, you mean these blue eyes, these baby blues? I don't know how I wound up in front of the camera.
Oh, get out of here, or stay. Keep it coming. But yeah, no, I shoot kind of more like stuff for people who want to do interviews and stuff, their own Instagram stuff. So I love doing that. But actually, sometimes I love not performing more than I love performing. It just depends on what the day is.
Yeah.
Acting. I was in a movie a number of years ago. It was an LGBTQ plus film, and I had a blast doing it. But acting is a lot of work. Like when I get a breakdown to do acting stuff, like it's a lot of work. Like that's why I love hosting, because you can just bring yourself to whatever is happening.
That's exactly why I left acting. So real quick, because you touched on something that's so valid to me. But when I started out, I also obviously my career has been built in production. But then about 4 years ago, I said, I really love hosting. It's my dream to host a travel show, right? So I started working on the hosting side, and I thought, I'm going to give up acting. I just want to be myself, right? And I thought I hated acting because I just wanted to be myself. Then I started hosting, and I'm like, shit. Oops. Oh, whatever. I'm like, this is. I get to be myself.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
This is actually really hard, because holy crap, I have to be myself. And that means that I have to like myself. And that was so much harder than any exploration I ever went on with acting, because it was okay when I was being someone else. But when I was hosting and I had to be myself, I really had to come face to face with a lot of these demons deep down inside. And here's the fun thing, now that I'm like, you know what? I am unapologetically the girl that says shit on her own show, the girl that messes up, all the time. That's me. And I'm okay with it. And I love me. And now I'm like, okay, now I can do some acting. I'm like ready to get back to acting now that I like myself enough.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I was doing some self exploration during that time, starting some therapy myself. And when I was starting to really get into the hosting world, and I did realize, like you were just saying, that you need to like who the person is that you are. And I wanted to be in acting so that I could be other people, and people would like what I was doing, and therefore like me. But that because I didn't love myself as much as I did or as much as I do now, or appreciate what I have. So it was a very similar journey, in the sense of I was acting to try and get people to like me, because I needed that, until I started hosting, and then people liked who I was. Like I remember leaving my first PRIO job, and I was doing something like this, which was da 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 da, and they're like, "That's great for something else. Like we want Brian McArdle to just talk." And I was like, you want me to talk? And I left and sat in my car after that gig, and it shifted my mind space so much, which was, you don't need to be something else. You need to be you. There are so many other people doing their own thing. There's only you doing you. So
if that was the lesson that I wish every acting coach, hosting coach, talent coach, producer, casting director, casting agent, executive producer, if we could just push that message, and not just push it by saying it on a breakdown, but actually follow up with that in action. So what I mean by that is, for the casting directors that are out there who are, if I'm the few that I have on my friends list who might watch this, please, like, when you say let someone be themselves, then let them truly be themselves and not force them to lose weight or to gain weight or to be more Black in a role, or, just let the people show up as they are, if that's what you really mean. And it is, that opportunity really presents itself in the hosting world naturally, which I think is why, we've both been fortunate enough to have some success in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what a cool journey. I love that's, we've both kind of had that realization, in our own worlds.
What a journey indeed. It was almost a lifetime worth of work that kind of comes in, and you're just like, oh.
It is a lifetime's worth of work, though, because you were in the place where you were able to understand that message, that thought. If you were resistant to it or weren't ready to let yourself understand it, it wouldn't have sunk in. So it is the lifetime of work that you've done up to that point, the therapy, the countless, self-evaluations. It matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So.
Oh, well, we are right up to the time limit here, and I'm almost to I still have a good amount of my drink left.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I just drank it all. It was good. I enjoyed it. It's 11. I'm going to have a fantastic Friday, and I hope you watch it.
It's almost noon. It's almost noon, though. So, by the time we finish this, it's noon. This is the best way to start my Friday. Cheers to everyone who joined along with us. Thank you, Brian, so much, the cocktail coach, for showing us how to make an awesome Mezcalrita. I love this drink. I even like it with the sugar. If people want to find you, connect with you, they can get you on the handle that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen, the cocktail coach. And thank you so much for being here with us today. I just love chatting with you and drinking with you.
It was good catching up with you, Ashley. Be well.
Bye, everybody. Happy Friday. We will see you right back here next week for a very, very special episode of Pretend Talk Show. I don't want to blow it away, but we have a really cool reunion from a show that I was on a couple of years ago. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure you tune in next week, exact same time, right here, Pretend Talk Show. Hey, Shannon!
I know, right? Right at the end.
Perfect. I love it. Life. Such is life.
That is life.
Have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much. See you later, Brian.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.